John. When I call them, it's never a situation where they're going, oh man, we got to listen to what he's got to say. No, there's an interaction. We share. We're connected. We're leaders. And they're busy asking for advice. And when we were out in Wolf Creek this last time, one of the things that she says, well, when are you going to come out? When do you come and speak at our church? And I says, well, set up a time. Tell me something that'll fit you, that'll suit for you, and then we'll let me know. But there's an interaction among the leaders. There's a connection. Well, Pastor, why would you go to Brandon? Why would you go to Verdon? If God has brought you to Plum Coulee, but God has called me to connect with other leaders. Iron sharpens iron. We take the opportunity to share. We take the opportunity to speak. I have not been called to the ministry by myself. I have been called to the ministry in the body of Christ. Now, when there is a leader, every church house will have a pastor, a main leader, but the leaders appointed by the main leader will also be speaking and directing in line with the vision of that house. So just because there's a pastor in the house, there can be other pastors. Other people that can speak, other people that have the ability to share. When Daniel was speaking this morning, I was sitting there listening, I thought, these are things that line up with the vision here. Now, if Daniel would use the opportunity to get up and say, okay, well, tithing is something that really shouldn't be done in the church today, he would be cut off right about there, if he made it that far. Well, Pastor, can you do that? I have removed people from the stage before. I'm quite capable. Why? Because there is a vision in the house. That was before I pastored a church, actually. That was when I was still in the Full Gospel Businessmen's. But you end up having the leaders that are used in the house, and they're recognized by the congregation as the leaders. And like how we talked the other time, I said another word that you could use for them would be the shepherds and the sheepdogs, really. They're helping to guide the sheep. They're helping to guide the flocks. But the sheepdogs will always be directing them back to the shepherd. If they start directing them in different directions, start trying to take them in different ways, chances are they're wolves and not sheepdogs. So that's another way you can check leaders. What are they doing? How are they treating the authority that's in the house? How are they speaking to the authority that's in that place? You can have this at places of work. Workers will come along and they'll be talking about the boss. Well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just lucked into it. If he wasn't, and they're just busy running. What's happening here is they're showing themselves to be destructive and not positive. It doesn't matter if it's work. It doesn't matter if it's in the church. We are called to work in the authority that God has established in that place. But if you have secondary leaders or leaders that have been placed by the main leader into a place, and if they're not directing in line with the vision of the house, if they have not received the vision, then they will end up splintering the whole thing into little parts where everybody is off doing their own little thing. Joshua laid out the plan to go in and possess the land. Joshua had heard from God. He rose up before the congregation and he said, get yourselves ready because we are going to go in and we're going to go possess this land. When we read ahead, there's a little bit more to it. It meant actually dispossessing the inhabitants of that land. The part of the battle that they were getting ready to face now meant that the inhabitants that were there had to be dispossessed or thrown out of the places that they were in. They had to be pushed back, and that land was going to be taken by force. Now, this was the battle plan for that day and for that time. Now, the original vision, if you'll remember that the nation of Israel got, the original vision said, you shall go in and you shall live in a land that is flowing with milk and honey. You're going to live in houses that you haven't built. You're going to eat crops that you didn't sow. You're going to drink from wells that you have not dug. Now that was the original vision, and that was still the vision, but Joshua is now outlining a benchmark on that vision. And he comes forward, he says before the people, tomorrow or whatever, we are going across the river into the promised land. Now he had leaders, one from every tribe that had been picked. He had leaders that are bringing this vision back to their people. Get ready. Tomorrow we're getting ready to go over. Get yourself prepared. Get your people ready. Get the army ready. Get your men of war ready. We're going into the promised land. We're taking the place. And they all had one vision, one idea, one concept. Now, if some of those leaders had stood up at that point and they had said, oh, get ready, we're going over to go get yourself a house, get settled in, get the place repainted, and it's yours now. Well, Pastor, they would have been in the vision. No, they would have been in the wrong part of the vision. The vision now was to take the land. In fact, Joshua went and spoke to the people that already had their inheritance, and he said, when you got your inheritance, you promised that you're going to come and help your brothers receive their inheritance. So you leave your wife and kids here in their house, but you best get out there and get ready to fight. Yes. Tomorrow is the day to fight. And everybody got rallied around the cause to fight, and all the leaders that Joshua had rallied the people to get ready to come in and to fight and to take the promised land. Anything else would have been a division, otherwise known as a division. Any division would have caused strife. It would have caused the whole group to end up missing out on where they were supposed to be. Yeah, but Pastor, this is a really good plan. Joshua, look, this crop is ready to be harvested now. If we don't harvest this crop now, we're going to lose it. Joshua, look at this. And the word from Joshua would have been, no, today is the day to go get the land. Today is not the day to go start harvesting. This house has a plan. This house has a way to go. This army is moving forward, and we are possessing the land. We're not stopping to become farmers today. But the word was we were going to eat grapes and honey and stuff. We're not at that point of that vision yet. We're at this point. See, every house will have a vision that is a long-term vision. This is where we are going. Now, we're not there yet. We're not ready to take that step. Christ Full Gospel Fellowship is now at a point where we are looking at purchasing land to build a sanctuary. That's the point we're at in this year. Yeah, but we're going to have a church that seats 2,500 people. We're going to have a church that seats 5,000 people. We're going to have... Yes, but that's not the point we're at today. I can dream bigger than you can dream. But today we're not there. For Christ Full Gospel Fellowship today to go out and try to fund a sanctuary that would seat 5,000 people would be the epitome of ridiculous. Unless God said, very specifically, go build today. Can you imagine what a group this size would look like in an auditorium made for 5,000? Oh, we got the front row full. Almost. If all the kids' church comes back up, we can get that. So there's steps that you take. Now that doesn't mean the vision has changed. It means today we're focusing on this part of the vision, and when the followership recognizes that the leadership has a long-term goal, but this is the point we're taking today, then they can get involved in getting this part fulfilled so that we can work together to get the next part fulfilled. One of the greatest things that happens, or the worst things that happens often in churches, is there's so much splintering going on that there's not enough force to direct the full congregation in the place it's supposed to go. That's right. Why? Because we're splintering. We're doing our own little thing. We're going here. We're going there. Well, it's a good cause. It's a good purpose. This is for a good thing. We get enough good causes coming across our desk every week that we could, each one of us, have our own good cause. But that's not where God has called us. That's not the vision of the house at this point. So Joshua laid in the plan, and he said, go in and possess the land. Now this part of possessing consisted of dispossessing the inhabitants of the land. No one was told to go and dig fields. Nobody was told to go and sow crops, dig wells, or build houses. Now, all of those things had to be done and would be done, this was not the timing for it. At this time, anybody that went off in a different direction was creating division, was ending up siphoning off resources, siphoning off people, siphoning off authorities. Now, in today's world of independence and free thinking, submitting